The developers who will lose their jobs to AI in the next 3 years are, right now, using AI to do their jobs faster. There is a particular kind of silence that precedes a structural failure, not the silence of nothing happening, the silence of everything happening at once just below the threshold of alarm. In 2022, GitHub Copilot reached 1 million users. Engineers celebrated, productivity was up, code review cycles were shorter, junior developers were shipping features they couldn't have written alone 6 months prior. The dashboards looked extraordinary. Nobody asked what the dashboards were not measuring. This is where the story actually begins. Not with a catastrophe, with a celebration. To understand what is happening to software development right now, you need to understand something about how complex systems die. They rarely collapse from external attack. They collapse from internal optimization. They get so good at doing the thing they do that they eliminate the conditions required to keep doing it. The railroad industry automated ticketing, then scheduling, then routing, then realized it had trained no new human dispatchers in 11 years and had no institutional knowledge left when the automated system failed during the 2003 Northeast blackout. The optimization was real. The fragility was invisible until the moment it became total. Software development is moving through the same sequence. And the timeline is not theoretical, it is already partially complete. The first category to fracture was not a job title, it was a task. In 2023, AI models crossed a threshold where they could write production quality boilerplate faster than a human could specify what boilerplate to write. CRUD operations, API wrappers, unit test generation, database schema migrations. These were not glamorous tasks. They were, however, the tasks that junior developers spent their first 2 years learning to do. That 2-year apprenticeship period, the period where a developer becomes someone a company would trust with a more complex problem, that period is now compressing into something closer to 6 months, or disappearing entirely, depending on who is hiring. Hiring data from Q1 2024 showed entry-level software engineering postings down 37% year over year. The companies posting those numbers called it a market correction, a rationalization after overhiring in 2021. That explanation was not wrong. It was incomplete. The jobs that evaporated were disproportionately the ones AI had learned to approximate. The second category is harder to see because it looks like growth. AI integration engineers, prompt engineers, LLM orchestration specialists, new titles, new salaries, enormous demand. What is not visible inside that demand is the ratio. For every 10 junior developers whose roles dissolved, approximately 1 AI integration role was created. The net is not neutral. The net is deeply negative for the population of people who were supposed to enter the industry at the bottom and climb. The third category is the one nobody wants to discuss at conferences. Mid-level developers, the engineers with 3 to 7 years of experience who do not architect systems but do implement them, who do not set technical direction but do translate that direction into working software. This is the largest single cohort in the industry, and it is the cohort whose core function, translating a clear specification into working code, is the function AI models are improving at fastest. In controlled studies run by major tech companies, AI-assisted developers are completing mid-complexity tasks 40 to 55% faster than unassisted developers. That number sounds like an efficiency gain. Reframe it. One AI-assisted mid-level developer can now do the output work of approximately 1.5 unassisted mid-level developers. The economic implication does not require a PhD to follow. What was ignored at every stage of this timeline was the warning that came from labor economists, from historians of technological displacement, from the engineers themselves who watched their daily task lists shrink and felt the unease they could not quite name at their retrospectives. The warning was this: when a technology eliminates the bottom of a skill ladder, it does not just eliminate the bottom. It eliminates the mechanism by which people climb. You cannot become a senior engineer without first becoming a junior engineer. You cannot develop intuition for system design without first spending years debugging systems that didn't work. The apprenticeship was not an efficiency. The apprenticeship was how the knowledge transferred. We are right now in the final quarters before this becomes statistically undeniable. The layoffs that have already happened are being explained as individual company decisions, as market cycles, as the aftershock of 2021 excess. Some of that is true. None of it is the whole truth. The whole truth is that the industry built a tool so effective at doing its work that the tool is now more economically rational than the people who built it. For the portion of the work that can be specified, clearly enough for a model to execute. And here's the thing about complex systems. The thing that makes this story not about software at all, but about every system that has ever optimized itself past the point of recovery. The part of the work that cannot be specified clearly enough for a model to execute, that part still requires human judgment. Deep, seasoned, experience forged human judgment. The kind that only comes from years of doing the work that no longer needs to be done. We have not figured out how to grow that judgment without the work that produces it. We celebrated the tool. We did not ask what we were consuming to build it.